Hello, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Well, we've got a exciting launch here. We're finally going to see the first real bit of competition for Starlink, and this is exciting for me because I like seeing what what everyone else is kind of up to. Because obviously we've seen, I'll put it as too many there's just only Starlink launches lately. It feels like, and this is very much not a Starlink launch. This is Amazon's Kuiper constellation. So as you guys know, we don't really do pre-launch. Well, maybe you've noticed we don't really do pre-launch previews anymore. It just became extremely, when there's 150 some launches of just SpaceX launches lately, it's gotten ridiculous. And it just became too hard to manage. So what we're going to do for a little pre-launch preview here for today's launch is we're just actually going to go over to our friends over at Next Spaceflight. This is a wonderful app. I actually use this app. That's how I know when launches are coming up, is from Next Spaceflight. But they also have a website, nextspaceflight.com. And this will kind of give us a few of the things that I was going to let you know about, such as is riding on an Atlas V. Now the picture in this is just a stock placeholder for the website. But in real life, it's going to be the 501 configuration of the Atlas V. So it's 0 solid rocket boosters, actually, but it does have a 5-meter fairing. So it's kind of wild. It'll look really naked because it's an Atlas V that has no solids, but a 5-meter fairing. Just looks kind of weird. And it has just the single engine for the Centaur upper stage, which is pretty normal. We really only see that the two after at the end of it, the N22. This is the 501. So if it was a 502, would mean that there's 2 RL-10 engines on the Centaur upper stage. So that is very unusual. That's basically just for Starliner launches. So obviously we're not seeing that today. This is the 501 configuration. So this is actually going to be the first 27 Kuiper satellites launched. They had 2 launched, I think, in October of 23 or so. That launched. Those were kind of just their tests to make sure that things were working. They assumingly went pretty well, because now we're on to the first true batch of Kuiper satellites. And like I said, there's 27 of them. I'm really excited to see if they stack them and how they deploy them. Are they going to do a similar thing to SpaceX where they spin up the stage and fling them out? What's this going to look like? This is going to be really exciting for me to see that. This is the 74th, this is also taking off from Slick Launch Complex, or Space Launch Complex 41, otherwise known as Slick 41, at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Weather currently, by the way, is not looking great from what I hear, which is probably also why their live stream hasn't yet started. But this is the 74th orbital launch of the year, the 164th mission for United Launch Alliance. This is their first launch of the year, and this is the 102nd Atlas V mission. And the number one thing that I see in chat, there's a few things that I'm seeing kind of over and over in chat, is something along the lines of, I thought they retired the Atlas V. No, the Atlas V has not been retired. However, are you guys, let's see, yeah, MotoKid here, you had this. Let me see if this is going to work here. I am trying to add this to the queue real quick. MotoKid. I thought Atlas was retired for Vulcan. So Vulcan is flying. As we know, Vulcan's flown twice. But Amazon purchased, I think it was 9 Atlas V rockets in order to be able to start deploying their constellation. I think there's still a couple more Atlas V launches that are national payload launches. So national security. I think there's 2 more. I think there's altogether something around 10. We've had the retirement, of course, of the Delta IV Heavy. We've also had the retirement of the Atlas V on the West Coast. So it's not flying out of Vandenberg anymore. So between all of those confounding factors, it's pretty easy to get lost on that. So let's see. This is from Sean mentioning the weather. Still 80% chance of weather violation. Great question. Last I heard, yes. So I'm just going to check on a little website formerly known as Twitter, currently known as X, to see if we have any updates. I'm not seeing anything right off the top, at the top of the feed, which is normally where we see these updates. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm guessing it is still probably about like that, which is why we haven't seen the launch live stream start on ULA's behalf. We're just staring at a nothing screen, a nothing burger screen, which, probably does mean that they're holding. They do have a 2-hour launch window. So what are we going to do? Oh, speaking of, literally right when I say that, as I'm kind of potentially besmirching the live stream, look at what we do have. We do have a live stream that just changed. Cool. There we go. Now we will have a ULA launch. So while it gets ready to fire up, let's answer a few of your questions. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you guys something. You are the first people to see this besides literally like my family. So let's first, you're all familiar with the Falcon 9 model rockets we make. You all are probably pretty aware of these and pretty excited about these. You know, they're metal Falcon 9 model rockets that we sell over at everydayastronaut.com/shop. The best model rocket you can buy, period. Guess what? It's officially expanding. I have with me the first production versions of our Mercury program. So notice that I'm saying Mercury program and not just one rocket. It actually comes with 2 rockets, which is going to be super, super fun. So let me show these off real quick. Their stream is starting up soon. So that's fantastic news because maybe we'll actually get a launch and get to see this thing today, which would be great. So check this out. We actually have 2 rockets are going to come in this. And this is what's hilarious. So notice the size of these things. Like, look at how big a difference. These are all to the same scale, 1/100 scale. We have this is just the upper stage of the Falcon 9 with the Dragon capsule. Look at how crazily different. I mean, that is just absolutely wild to me. What's going to be really cool about these is obviously these are again made out of metal. They're quite heavy again. But what's cool is like this even has the drop stages, the booster engines that drop off from the Atlas. So let's see. Oh, they're saying that it's still taking off at 7 p.m. That's great news. But yeah, how cool is that? Like, I'm just really excited to have finally more in our collection of the Atlas 5, with the Atlas and the Mercury Red. So look at this. It literally looks almost like a pencil. I feel like you could just draw with this thing. But yeah, and then what's cool too is they also have a stand. I feel like we almost need a note in these packages that say, don't throw the base away, because the base has stands that will make them stand up with a little label on them too, that also label the scale at 1/100. Really excited about these. I think these are going to be, I want to, eventually have the whole thing be like a rocket garden, is my goal, and all of them at the same exact scale. That is the ultimate goal. This is the first step in that ultimate goal, to actually have multiple rockets all at the same scale. We're going through human spaceflight history with the Mercury program, and then eventually we'll get into, the shuttle, Buran, Soyuz, eventually the Saturn V, definitely Gemini program. But weather's a challenge. I'm going to listen in here. Now that I did all that, let's listen in.
Thanks, guys, and certainly a lot to talk about from a weather perspective tonight here on the Space Coast of Florida. So here's what we're dealing with right now. Here's a live look at satellite with radar data overlaid on top of it. Notice there are these showers that are off the coast. This is thanks to this area of low pressure that's spitting off the Atlantic coast. And notice this convergent band of showers that's kind of setting up and moving right over us. Now, the good news is that this band has pushed a little bit further to the east than the last few hours, but we are currently violating the cumulus cloud rule. So that is because there are some of these showers that are embedded within this band right here that when they get tall enough, there is actually a standoff distance. So it doesn't have to be raining directly at the pad, and that's because they could be electrified, and that's one of our lightning launch commit criteria to prevent natural and rocket-triggered lightning strikes. So again, we are no-go for the cumulus cloud rule. But the other issue that we're monitoring as well, in addition to the showers and the cumulus cloud rule, is the wind situation. So that low is bringing in some pretty strong winds coming from the north along the coast here, and you can see these red numbers here. So this is gusts in miles per hour. So currently we're seeing gusts near the pad here in the low 30s miles per hour. So we're monitoring that situation. It has come down a little bit in the last couple of hours, but still elevated right now. So we're getting the showers and the associated strong winds associated with this low that is sitting off the coast. So we're going to need the showers to push a little bit farther to the east, and we're also going to need these winds to come down as the evening progresses. So some of the model guidance is indicating that the winds are going to come down a little bit, so that's what the launch weather team is going to be monitoring. Currently, our probability of violation is 80% at the opening of the window and trending down to 60% as we go towards the ends of that 2-hour launch window. So not saying that there isn't any hope, and if there is a window of favorable weather, the launch weather team is going to find it. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you, Brian. They certainly will find it if we can tonight. So this means that as the launch team and the launch clock are getting closer to liftoff, the clock will of time to allow the team to resolve any issues that may occur in the hours leading up to launch.
If you're familiar with launch counts, then you might already know that the L minus time refers to the actual time remaining until launch. And then you'll see the T minus time refers to the time presented on the countdown clock that reflects the hold and is paused for an exact amount of time until this hold is released. It gives our team time to work any issues.
Exactly. By building in this time, we give ourselves a higher probability of an on-time liftoff. And today's countdown, which can be seen in the top left corner of your screen, uses the T minus time. The final hold prior to launch is planned at T minus 4 minutes.
So I'll explain that here in a little bit.
LC switch not ready. LD, LC.
Launch director and launch conductor, I believe.
LD, LC.
Look how windy it is. You can see that light pole.
LD on one.
Yes, LD. I'm
Wait a
working
minute.
a couple of issues.
This is a 551. Look at all the solids on it. I was wrong.
Fuel and recommend delaying spacecraft batteries to internal. So our new T0 can be ported.
Concur and LD concurs.
Roger.
Did they just say they're standing down? Will this be the shortest live stream ever? Is that what they just said? It's really interesting hearing them on the nets or on the communications
And
now.
prop 1 LC. Prop 1 LC, net 1.
Go for prop 1.
I want to make sure you're aware we're going to delay start of fuel fill sequence.
Affirmative.
Oh, just delay start of fuel. Okay. Because they have a 2-hour launch window. So although I've got my clock up there, we'll have to change our clock. It's currently considered a planned hold. This is the way that ULA does things, which is basically get the rocket more or less topped off, and then once they know for sure where they're going to be, like in that window when they're going to launch, then they kind of hit like go on the terminal count, and the terminal count is like the internal count of the rocket. Like that's what it takes to kind of, it's 4 minutes. So they'll look for the best opportunity inside this launch window to launch, and then hopefully they'll release that T-minus 4 minute hold. So for now, I should probably put our clock in a hold position as well. But yeah, let's see what they launch on hold. We'll just do this. Maybe this will work. Oh, I think they're trying to talk as well. I'm listening. Hopefully this should.
And as you just heard from our launch conductor on channel 1, we are standing by for a new T0. We'll bring you more information as soon as we have it.
Okay, so I'm putting it as holding for within the 2-hour window. So that window extends from 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which you can see starts in 16 minutes is the official beginning of the window, and it lasts 2 hours.
Right now, we're taking a live look at the Atlas V rocket on the launch
Keep
pad.
listening.
As the countdown continues, our team is taking the final steps in preparation for liftoff. The first stage, also known as the rocket's booster stage, is a large tank on the bottom that is actually 2 tanks, one filled with the RP-1 fuel and the other with the liquid oxygen. And the liquid oxygen is the super cold cryogenic propellant that turns the tank's exterior from bronze to that frosty white. And of course, with the rocket engine, we have the fuel and the oxidizer pumped super fast down in the engine. They mix in the combustion chamber. They're pushed out of the nozzle at super high speeds, and that's what gives the rocket its thrust.
That was perfect. That was a 30-second overview of rocket science right there. Atlas is also equipped with the Centaur upper stage, which drives the payload during the second phase of flight to its final orbital destination in space. The payload fairing, or PLF as we refer to it, completes the rocket and provides this aerodynamic shape necessary for the climb to space. On the upper stage in the PLF, we'll see the logos for Amazon, Atlas, and ULA, as well as the American flag. Let's learn more about how ULA builds the Atlas V rocket.
So probably gonna have whatchamacallit now, some copywritten music. So good chance to answer a few questions. Let's see here. This is from from Peter Yannick. My friend is flying from Spain to UK. His flight is delayed because of the Atlas V. They need to go on a longer route. Yep, that's exactly what happens. And actually, I'm really glad that we're seeing some of the weather and stuff behind the scenes of this the range, right? Because that's actually one of the videos I'm working on. I just shot a video with the United States Space Force out at Vandenberg Space Force Base, and I went and talked to the range. I've never quite known, we hear like the range. It's almost this like this ominous person slash like it's also a thing, like an area. And so it was really fun for me to actually learn all about this. So I'm going to do a deep dive video on what is the range, like what are all these criteria we hear about all the time, these launch commit criteria, the weather, and all these other things that kind of go around a rocket launch, and how do they work around the exclusion zone. We even filmed inside the actual rock, the Range Operating Control Center. And I think we might be like the first people to ever actually record video in there. It's almost entirely classified. So we had to put the cameras down a few times, but it was really cool to learn about how all that stuff works and operates. And it's going to be a really fun video. So seeing, like, I like that. For me, it's fun now watching a United Launch Alliance video or live stream. I just kind of get a sense, because they include a lot more of that audio between the launch director. So the in this case, the payload launch provider is United Launch Alliance. And you can hear them talking to the range and the people inside on the government side of things. And you can also hear them talking sometimes to the payload customer as well. So there's kind of three people that all need to say go for launch. Let's listen in, see if they're going to talk any more
Today's
about
mission
that.
is just the start of ULA launches to deliver Amazon's Kuiper satellites to orbit. Let's learn more about Project Kuiper and what they've been doing to prepare for offering internet connectivity from space.
Okay, I've seen this video on YouTube, so if you want to watch this one, again, copyright strikes. Gerald Gobin says, will this launch be visible from the East Coast? Yeah, I mean, this is launching from Florida, so if you can see Florida launches, it's going to be, it's going to be probably pushing into night, which actually should make it easier to see. The solid rocket boosters, of course, on the Atlas V can be pretty bright as well. The 551 configuration or any solid rocket are typically pretty easy to see day or night, because during the day you can easily see the big exhaust plume because of the solid rocket boosters leave that big white cloud, just like you see with the space shuttle. When you see space shuttle launches, you see huge column of white smoke. This will have something similar because it has solid rocket boosters. But solid rocket boosters also burn really bright because the afterburning right off the nozzle, you can see the glowing of carbon still being burnt and aluminum still being burnt and glowing bright with the oxygen in the atmosphere. Same thing for the core engines with the RD-180 on the Atlas V that also burns Keralox, so RP1 and liquid oxygen. And you can see it burning quite bright again for a similar reason, where the carbon afterburns in the atmosphere, reacts with the oxygen in the atmosphere, and continues to burn. So that should be a very visible rocket, probably just about anywhere in the United States. So, I mean, not in the United States, sorry, along the eastern coast. If you can see rocket launches from the East Coast, this is going to be one that you can almost certainly see off the coast. So let's see here. Let's see if I've got any other... this is asking... Drac Richards asking how much is our Atlas, our Mercury Redstone Mercury Atlas set going to be. I think it's coming in pretty much the exact same price as the Falcon 9. Frankly, the cost was almost identical. It's got a similar amount of parts and similar amount of metal, and at the end of the day, the molds are the most expensive part by far. So pretty much right around that 375 mark. Yeah, and depending on the rocket, I don't know if any will get. The reason that we did a 2-pack was so that it was a better value. You could get 2 shipped instead of the tiny little box with like the redstone. No one would probably buy that. So I figure we'll do like the Mercury program. We'll do the Atlas or the Gemini program. We'll get into eventually the Saturn V. We'll get into eventually Soyuz. I really want to see actually Soyuz and the Falcon 9 and eventually Starliner and things like that would be really cool to see all side by side by side. That would definitely be the dream for me, is just having a whole rocket garden that's all to the same scale. That's definitely my goal. Let me see. Let me add. Let's see here. I see that the chat is currently having a debate about ULA and things like that. Well, the good thing is that no matter what you... Oh, see how bright the solid rocket boosters were, by the way? Like, they glow like crazy. Yay. Yeah, big debate about ULA currently going on. The reality is, United Launch Alliance has a lot of, rockets on contract still. They still provide a service that's quite difficult. Let's listen in here. Let's see what they have to say. And of course, with Vulcan, they have a lot more, really a lot more payload capacity over the Atlas V, especially to geostationary orbits. That's where expendable rockets still kind of, it's hard to compete with that. It's hard to compete with an expendable rocket with a hydrogen upper stage going to geostationary orbit. Now, these are LEO, this is definitely where LEO constellations
This is Atlas Mission Control. We are currently in a hold due to weather, and we are awaiting a new T0.
All right. That's what we figured. It's going to be a long stream, so get your questions rolling here, my friends. Oh, no. So this is from Kim Sirius saying, let me see here. Let me get this in the queue. Sorry, I have this a little bit disorganized. Kim Sirius saying, yay, more constellations. And I think that was probably said a little bit in jest, a little bit sarcastic. But the reality is, if these things are done well, which, so far Starlink has proven to be really not as big of an issue as I think a lot of people thought. A lot of people thought you'd just look up in the sky and just see fireflies of, just moving stars everywhere. And that's not the case. The Starlink has ended up being a highly valuable service that I utilize in a lot of different ways in my life. I just did a 4-week road trip and had Starlink attached to the glass and the roof the entire time, and actually was able to use it when camping in really remote areas and things like that. I love it. We use it for our studio. More competition for that is definitely better. I will always take competition over no competition any day. Kuiper satellites, it sounds like the first iteration of them is going to have quite a lot of bandwidth. Obviously Amazon knows how to build web servers, knows something about data. So kind of riding off the backbone of that expertise, I can see Kuiper being an extremely valuable service. And I mean, frankly, as long as it's cost competitive and can provide similar bandwidth to Starlink, I would love to have 2 options. I would love for like our studio down in Texas to have, a Kuiper and a Starlink. And that way they're, dissimilar redundancy, always a good thing. And again, as long as everyone's being good stewards in space, which there's actually a lot of things going on in that way. Now to make sure that there's no collisions and things like that. It's, I don't think it's not junk. So, this is from, Mahai says, what is the local weather forecast? So the probability of violation right now is 80%.
LCRC, net 1.
Oh.
RC.
We've coordinated the new T023:40 with the range, and it's been approved.
Roger.
2340, so that'd be 1140 Zulu. Let me change that here. 11:40. So that's just a 40-minute delay. That is. So to answer the question, it has been trending more positive. So let's see if I did that right. 44 minutes. Did that not update? Oh, I know why. And oh, now I messed that up. Oh, I see what I did wrong. Here we go. There we go. T-minus 44 minutes. That would be 23:40 Zulu. So that's going to be, yeah, so that's UTC time.
LC, AC, net 1.
Oh, AC.
Ready to provide an upbrief on the CLH2 tank pressure soft flow that was reported.
Roger, LD net 1.
LD.
Proceed, AC.
Yeah, LC, so the team noticed an increase in tank pressure in the CLH2 tank. That was simultaneous with the SRV cycle test going on. The pressure got a little higher than we intended it to, but the Flumon test took the appropriate action to bring the tank back down. We have no concerns for vehicle health or proceeding with today's operation. We'll document on NDR to address corrective action in the future and recommend proceeding.
LC concurs. LD.
LD concurs.
LC PA2.
Go PNE2.
LH2 conditioning complete.
Roger.
I do love hearing the chatter on the nets like that. Hearing the actual decision making is really cool. So let's see here. We've got a few more questions that we're going to answer. So Nathan Shin said, just became a member. Thank you so much, Nathan Shin. I appreciate the membership. That keeps the lights on here, and yeah, that's awesome. So if you guys also want to consider becoming a member, you always get some early access to the reviews of videos. The last big review we did was like a 5-part review of the incredibly long, the 2-hour long, how do we know NASA took humans to the moon
And we just
video.
received a new T0 of 7:40 p.m. Eastern Time. Our hold is extended due to weather, so let's get an update from Brian Sizik.
Let's listen in here.
Thanks, guys. Yes, and currently we are no-go for the cumulus cloud rule, and we're also monitoring the winds at the ground level as well. So here's why we're no-go for the cumulus cloud rule. Notice these showers that are off the coast here. Now, they're not directly over the launch pad, which is about right here, but because they're fairly tall, they could hold a charge. And actually, if they get to a certain level, the minus 20 Celsius level, it's a 10 nautical mile standoff from the launch pad and the flight path. So that's likely what we're dealing with here. These are pretty tall showers. So the launch weather team is monitoring this. We're watching the motion here. So notice that they are pushing to the south and maybe a little bit to the east. So if we could get these to push a little bit farther to the east and get outside of that 10 nautical mile range, we could potentially clear that cumulus cloud rule. Now we're also watching some more showers that are developing farther to the north. Now again, they look like they're trying to push a little bit farther to the east. But again, the team will be monitoring these other showers that are starting to come in from the north. And then if we switch to winds, this is the other weather factor that we're monitoring here tonight. So notice the red numbers here. So that is the gusts right along these our weather towers here at the Cape and KSC. We're monitoring the wind. So notice that the gusts are in the low to mid 30s. We're seeing some peaks miles per hour. So again, we're going to need some of those gusts to come down in addition to the showers pushing a little bit farther away from the launch pad. So those are the two factors. It does look like it is improving marginally as we go towards the end of the window. So again, the POV currently 80% at the opening of the window, but as we push later, it does look like it improves a little bit. So that's what the team's going to be watching. Again, as I mentioned, if we can find a gap in the weather and if we can find some good conditions, the launch weather team will give that go call. So guys, back to you.
We
Thanks,
might
Brian.
be here for a while, guys.
As you heard, we're going to take a pause in our live broadcast so we can work closer towards our T0. Hopefully, the weather will clear up in this time being, and we'll see you shortly.
All right. Well, that is our sign to hang out and answer questions. And if we had to, we could play Kerbal or something. I mean, depends on how much time we end up having. Actually, maybe I'll look and see. Maybe I'll fire up Kerbal. I'll look for any excuse to fire up Kerbal Space Program. And this is definitely one of those. Let's see here. Let me get that just going. Like I said, just in case. You never know. Let's see here. Speaking of Kerbal, oh, that just took over my entire screen. I'm gonna put that on the right monitor. Let's see here. Speaking of Kerbal, we've got some good questions too. It says unusual. Kind of looks like a rocket from Kerbal with that fairing. Just in case you don't know what Kerbal Space Program is, it is the rocket simulator / game where you build and fly your own rockets with little green alien frog guys that I love and adore. There's been 2 versions. The second version was not, Kerbal Space Program 2 is not highly recommended, and has been completely canned, and yeah, it's been controversial and not great. But Kerbal Space Program 1 is still kind of the preferred one by most enthusiasts. Here, I'll put this back up here. Let's see. This is a very topical question from JW. Thoughts on Isaacman for NASA? So for those of you familiar, just today, Jared Isaacman, who is the founder of the Inspiration 4 mission and also the Polaris program, including Polaris Dawn, which is the first commercial EVA, is President Trump's nomination for NASA administrator. So my thoughts on that? I don't think I can imagine a better pick for a NASA administrator. Just having worked with Jared and his team and been out and actually interacted with him quite a bit, interviewed him a few times, seen the work he does, heard from the people he's worked with, seen how quickly and ambitious of programs he's helped develop. He truly has an understanding of both spaceflight but also aviation. You know, don't forget that's a big part of aeronautics is still a big part of NASA. I think there's few people in the world that have the well-rounded experience that Jared does, as well as not just, you know, there's obviously some incredible pilots and probably some incredible astronauts that have similar experiences to what Jared's accomplished in his own career already. But one of the key things that I like about Jared is his business sense as well. And I think NASA needs a real, you know, if we're going to really be competing and really going to be having a long-term presence on the moon and eventually get to Mars, I think we got to be aggressive. I think we have to be aggressive and set crazy timelines. You know, he mentioned a few times in his nomination hearing today that, you know, that the Mercury program, again, we went from Mercury rocket to Saturn V rocket in 8 years. We went from Alan Shepard, first suborbital flight, to landing and having humans walk on the moon in just 8 years. Absolutely crazy. You know, you would think today, with all the expertise we have, we could do something in just a couple of years to be able to get humans on the moon. And I want someone in office leading that charge that really just hammers that in, that, hey, we can do this again. We can be ambitious. Let's push like crazy. And obviously, he's familiar with, you know, the SpaceX mantra, having gone from the crazy one there that I can think of right off the hand. Besides, you know, the EVA suits they developed in-house. That took 2 years. That ended up being a lot longer project than I think anyone thought. But the cool one for me was the cupola. For those of you unfamiliar, when he did Inspiration 4, literally only about 6 months before launch, he said, hey, can we put a giant glass dome in here and remove the docking port, since we're not docking to anything? Can we just have a giant window? And I think almost any other mission in the world and any other previous human spaceflight endeavor, they would have gone, you're 6 months out from your launch window. There's zero chance we're going to develop and certify a giant glass dome for your launch. But they did. They did, and that's become a big selling point for Dragon missions now. We just saw it be used again with From 2 recently, the first polar mission. So I'm a big fan of you know, having a vision like that, something big and ambitious, and seeing it change very quickly. He's familiar with that process. I think he'd be a very good asset for the United States and for NASA. I'd be really excited. I hope that he gets nominated officially. I mean, or I hope that he gets the position officially. He has been nominated, of course, but I think they have people have until Friday to submit questions in Congress and in the Senate.
LC, this is RLM11. RLM. The 4 Delta P values for LH2 are now back within band. Roger. You have a code to clear them. Active.
Cool. So, everything is looking good. The pressures on the rocket are looking good. So this is what, when they're in a hold, actually, from Mahai says, is it not bad for the propellant to wait that long? So it's constantly being topped off. It's still in this state. So it's not bad in the sense that, like, it's not the most efficient thing because, yes, you're experiencing boil off. The rocket tanks aren't, like, vacuum jacketed. They're not sitting there, made for keeping a cryogenic propellant cryogenic. So as you see, some of its propellant, it vents some of its liquid oxygen out of the booster. It's also venting, when hydrogen boils off, they can't just let it go. So you're not seeing that, but you do see it a little bit in a flare stack down here in the bottom left. I don't know if you see my cursor. Maybe you do. Down here by this gray building and the berms, you can see a little bit of discoloration there from the flare stack. When it gets darker, as it gets closer to sunset.
LC, RLM-11. Go RLM. Alarms have been acknowledged. Roger.
Alarms have been acknowledged. They might just have another thing be triggered. This is pretty normal when they're sitting in a hold that, pressures are rising. They just need to make sure they're, continually filling and keeping the cryogenic propellant at the right temperature. Whoa, you get a sense of how windy it is. I'm glad they're showing us this shot. I know it looks crazy and jumpy, but it illustrates the point better than anything. I don't know if they meant to, but I actually really appreciate that shot because it actually gives you a really good sense of how windy it actually is. That's crazy. Wow. Yeah, and I guess you can see it in the condensation pouring off the rocket, how quickly it's being blown away. So is it bad for the propellant to wait that long? Not bad in the sense that, like, it's bad for the mission. It's not like you're going to lose propellant on the rocket. They continually top it off. If they had disconnected the propellant lines and the rocket was still sitting there now, yes, that'd be very bad. They'd lose a substantial amount of their propellant due to boil off if it's just sitting there. But it's still connected to the ground equipment, still connected to the tankage, and yeah, hopefully that answers that question. From Octua, this is in Florida. That is correct. This is indeed in Florida. Sorry, I just put Slick 41 CCSFS, Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. I probably should have put -- Florida because, yes, this is in Florida at Cape Canaveral. Let's see. This is from Marcel Severia. Can Amazon put enough satellites in orbit without a reusable stage 1 rocket to compete with Starlink? Without a reusable stage 1 rocket? Okay, so yeah, they're planning to put up over 3,000 satellites, and they have, I believe, 9 Falcon 9s. I think they have like 18 Ariane 6 launches. They actually bought 3 Falcon 9 launches to be able to help get this satellite constellation up into space and online. And then, of course, they have their New Glenn rocket, which should have a reusable first stage. And hopefully not eventually, like hopefully maybe even on the next launch, which I expect to be here in the next few months. Hopefully that starts landing the first stage and offering first stage reuse and offering some substantial cost benefits. New Glenn will be a very good asset for the Kuiper constellation. So don't forget that is a thing, and hopefully it starts flying more regularly and reusably. So that hopefully solves a few of those things. Let's see here. I'm gonna cut away here. I am gonna fire up Kerbal. While we're waiting, let's just build this thing. I'll kind of give you a sense of what the rocket actually looks like, and we'll just build a quick little simulated mission in Kerbal Space Program, just like in the old days. I feel like I used to do this kind of stuff all the time. So why not? We have nothing else to do. Hopefully this will answer a few of your questions about how this vehicle works. So like I said, this is the Atlas V, and it has a pretty large fairing. It has a 5 meter. Kerbal's scaling is weird though. I don't think we should do 5 meters. I think we should go down to like 2.5. Just pretend it's all doubled. So here's what's going to be interesting about the, actually, we shouldn't do that yet, because here's the weird thing about the Atlas V in the 5 meter payload configuration is that the upper stage actually sits inside of the fairing, and that is unusual. The Centaur upper stage actually sits inside of the 5 meter fairing. So what you see here on screen Some of it I think is outside, but a good amount of it is inside. So that whole thing kind of breaks away, and it's housing the center upper stage, which is just unusual. It's unusual. Neutron will do something not quite like that, but kind of, sort of ish. Yeah, where I always thought it kind of could make sense for a reusable launch vehicle if you could keep the fairing attached to the first stage. But this is going to have a extremely efficient upper stage. In this case, that'd be way too powerful. It's also very weak. So let's do this little Terrier engine. We'll call this our upper stage. In a vacuum of space, it's going to be quite efficient. It's probably going to be bigger than that. Let's get a little bit bigger tankage. Let's double it. And maybe we'll make one of these like gold and white. I don't know. Sure. There's our Atlas V. It's going to have, obviously, it's going to need to decouple from the stack. So it will sit like this inside of the fairing. I better not do all of that yet. Let's make sure we have also the stack on top of here. Like this. I'll put a little battery on here just so we don't run out of electricity during launch. Sorry, you guys are also hearing probably a little bit too much sound effects. Okay, so let's just throw on like something that looks.
LC Field 2.
Oh.
Go ahead, Field 2.
First step 660. Centaur LH2 is at 99.8% at 2310 Zulu.
Roger.
So I don't know exactly, obviously, what these satellites are going to look like per se, but we do know that I'm pretty sure they're flat stacked, similar to Starlink, which is really cool to see the industry adopt a similar idea, because it is very clever to stack them all on top of each other. Let's just make this, I don't know, let's just throw on some big ol' hog-sized things like this. There we go. Okay, we're just going to do it like this. And we're supposed to, I think, like I said, I think there's 27 of them. So if we were really to do that, we'd want it to go like this. So there's 2. Oh, man. This is going to be really bad. Because I guarantee that that these will... I probably should be like, you know, I should probably take some of these apart and make sure that these all have like, what's that called? Auto struts, because otherwise it's going to get incredibly wonky. And we do not want wonk. We do not want wonk. 2, 3. Okay, there we go. So 2. We probably don't need to do all 27. I don't think these are going to quite look anywhere near correct. But there we go. Something about like that. That's going to be our payload stack. And then the fairing goes around all of this. This is the payload fairing. I think it kind of still goes up a little bit or something like that. And then it gets big, fat, and beefy. Something like that. That doesn't look right. Well, maybe I'm actually... Hang on. Let me make let me make more. Okay. Now let's build this fairing. Trying to get these proportions kind of correct-ish. Oopsies. It's pointier than that. I don't care, though. Okay, something about like that. Now, here's the thing. This is still saying it's going to have 3,000... Oh, yeah. 3,000 meters per second of delta V. That is pretty good. Just to give us some control over this thing while it's in space, I'm going to add some vernier thrusters. All right, that's good enough. Let's now go to a... What did I say we're at? 2.5 meter. Is that what we're doing? So that's going to be down here. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Orange tank. Let's do a smaller one like that. Let's also make it orange. That's probably about right. And then it, of course, has a single engine. I don't think this engine is going to be powerful enough, unfortunately. That's more like a Gemini, Titan rocket, engine. Let's see here. At sea level, thrust to weight ratio, way too low. Below 1, I don't know if you guys can see that, 0.48. So we got to have a little bit more powerful rocket engine in order to get this thing off the ground. What would be a good choice? Perhaps, no. Maybe we actually just need to do 2 engines ourselves. Wait, what's the, I think these are too wide, right? Oh no, let's just do these. This is perfect. Doesn't quite look right because they're very wide, but that's about right. Let's see how, okay, there we go. There's a thrust to weight ratio. It's actually a bit of a ridiculous thrust to weight ratio. Someone I saw is asking why I'm not using mods. I kind of enjoy the challenge of playing Kerbal Space Program with no mods. Because then also, if I'm building something and someone else wants to replicate it, they don't have to have like this entire huge, set of mods to be able to do what I'm doing. And I just think that's fair. That's makes it nice for people. Okay.
LC, fuel 2.
Go fuel 2.
First step 700, Centaur LH2 has been above 99.8% for 5 minutes.
Roger. PNA2, LC.
Go ahead, LC.
Perform Centaur LH2 SUV cycle test.
Roger.
Just to make this easy on myself, I'm going to do this for now. So it sounds like something was at 98%. What do they say? Fill level, which is fine. Okay, here's going to be our solid rocket boosters. Now the funny thing about the Atlas V and its 5 SRB configuration is that it's lopsided. So some of the boosters, one side will have an extra booster basically. So I need to kind of prepare for that here a little bit more by maybe going offsetting like this. Like this. And then we'll just put a single one over here. And there's an Atlas V. I probably should have separated. Oh no. Okay, I made a mess of things. Let me start this part over. Let me get this check your staging. Make sure I actually get this stuff right. So let's put the stage separator SRBs attached to that. We will want the main engines to fire first, then these, then that. Okay, this is better. All right, like I said, we have to squeeze 3 of them on one side, 2 on the other. And then let's go with 1 over here. There we go. That looks about right. A little wonky, just like the Atlas V. People were probably asking, why do they do that? Good question.
LCP2. Go PNA2. Centaur Cryo SEV cycle test is complete.
Roger. OSLC.
Is what?
Perform data transfer to backup CCLS.
Roger.
Ooh. Plus Money says they're not flat pack satellites. I was thinking they were. Do we have a source on that? I would love to learn more because I would love to look that up and confirm. I'm sure you're right. Discord, maybe? Do you guys... Yeah, I'd be curious. Also, while I'm at it, thank you, Drew Miller, for a month of opportunity. A month of membership and 3 months of membership from Latoro, Olmi, Bremer. 3 months. Let's go for more. Hoping to see the launch. I'm hoping so too. Hopefully they start kind of talking more about the launch here and getting closer to the actual T0. Because like I said, we are T-minus 20 minutes, just burning time here in Kerbal Space Program while we wait. Let's see. From Drew Miller, would I go to space given the opportunity? Yeah. If you're unfamiliar, I thought I had an opportunity. Well, I had an opportunity to go to the moon with Dear Moon, and then it got retracted and everything was canceled. So, yeah, I signed up for that and would have done that. So that, I think, speaks for itself. All right, let's just try launching this thing. We'll go through the staging and see. I hope that the upper stage is really weak. I think we're going to have too much Delta V. Oh, I realized these SRBs are going to be super wonky. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, let's manage the ignition. Oh, here goes the SRBs. They're going to flex a bunch. Okay, that is probably breaking your eardrums. I am so sorry. But let's start pitching this hog down range. Sorry, basically all of the propellants are all at flight level. I was trying to make it so you could hear it without being completely overwhelmed by this thing.
This is LD on 1.
Go LD.
Please coordinate a new T0 of 00:03.
Roger. 0003.
Good copy. Thank you.
So
ALC.
Go ahead.
Please set the clock for a new T0 0003.
Roger.
RCLC.
RCN 1.
Please coordinate with the range a new T0 of 0003.
Roger, welcome.
003 Zulu. Okay, so that's just after midnight UTC time.
LC at 1.
Oh, it looks clearer though.
LD.
Yeah, LD, our launch vehicle issues are resolved. We are just currently red on winds at this time.
Thank you, LC.
Okay.
LC, ALC.
Go.
Countdown clock has been set for a new T0 of 03000.
Roger. All right, for the team, for our new T0, L count is L minus 41 minutes.
We've got our clock ready.
SCI, LC, channel 1.
Okay, hopefully that weather improves, and meanwhile, I'll bet the host will come back on and let us...
SC on 1.
No, okay. Sorry, we're missing like actual mission stuff. Sorry. I have a feeling that this core stage is basically going to get us... I'll let you know if there's anything more. It's really loud. I bet this core stage will basically get us into orbit, honestly. Without even the upper stage. Got a little course correction to do because those solid rocket boosters were pushing me a little wonky. So in real life, well, this does act like it's one engine, but you know they show it as kind of two engines attached to a fuel tank. In real life, the the RD-180 is dual nozzle, but it's only a single engine. It looks like two engines. It's only one engine. That's one of those fun little facts from. We talk about that in my entire history to Soviet rocket engines video, but it's just one of those fun facts to keep in mind. All right, let's see. I'm probably very lofted. Yeah.
And as you just heard, we do have a new T0 of 8:03 p.m. Eastern Time. We will remain in a hold due to weather and resume the show as soon as possible when we are closer to launch.
Okay, cool. There we go. There you have it. Marius in Discord says that I have staging wrong. That is absolutely correct. I do. Not only is staging wrong, I don't even know which one is the... Probably that one. Nothing like sending commands to a spacecraft while it's almost at stage separation. So this might be wrong. Let's find out. Let's deploy the payload fairing. And let's see if this is the right one. I'm not even going to double check it. It was the right one. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Let's get this hog off into orbit. And 3, 2, 1, hit pip. There we go. Yeah, so someone mentioned that they might not be flat pack similar to Starlink. I don't know. I made them flat pack similar to Starlink. I'm just not sure. So let's aim this thing downwards a little bit. Because if you notice our trajectory right now, we are quite lofted. We are going way up here. And realistically, you wouldn't want, that's very inefficient. You'd want to basically just be speeding up and not getting your momentum, your inertia way out here. That's not the most efficient thing in the world. So I'm going to do some of this, and this will basically it'll kind of lower this closer to the planet. And we're going to work on raising our periapsis. Notice how abysmal this thrust-to-weight ratio is, by the way. This is similar to the Atlas V. So in real life, its RL-10 engine is so weak, it starts off well below. Wait. Why is it only saying 130? Did something happen? 113. That is way off. Okay, well, we're going to be deploying these things into a highly elliptical, highly incorrect orbit. Man, why is that calculator so far off? I should probably, at this point, I'm going to just coast up to our apoapsis, our highest point, and do a burn there. Because otherwise, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. When's the last time you guys tuned into a launch broadcast and had Kerbal Space Program to keep you entertained while you wait? It's been a while since I've done this, and it feels good. So sorry if you don't like this. Too bad. There we go. I actually derfed it. I absolutely derfed it, guys. We had way too lofted trajectory. And now these are all going to be suborbital. Womp womp. All right, I'm going to just spin this thing, and we'll deploy them anyway. Working on spinning it, working on spinning it, working on spinning it. Yeah, I do adhere to the Matt Lown, sorry, oh my gosh. The Matt Lown philosophy of not leaving space junk, which is why I'm actually going to deploy all of these. Oh, jeez. I apparently don't care about Kessler syndrome, though. Because I just created quite the debris field. Luckily, it's all going to re-enter right about, yeah. You get a sense of all that debris, even though it's, in space is one of those things that people might not intuitively understand until you play Kerbal Space Program a bunch, but all that debris, unless it got ejected into orbital velocity, which some of it could have, but the vast majority of it is going to re-enter along with this, because we didn't, now if we had gotten this into orbit and done that, then yeah, we would have created a massive debris field. Woo! Yeah, if you order your rocket from Temu, exactly. Okay, so the Wizard Game says, on the ULA YouTube channel, it's right there. It's their latest video for the supposed satellite design. Well, let's just watch that while we're waiting then. Since I messed this up anyway. We'll do this. Okay, 1 second here. I'm going to pull that up. YouTube.com/ULA or ULA launch, I think. Nope. 1 second. Oh, you're right. Good call.
This incredible mold remover gel can restore your
sorry. There's ads because I'm not signed into my premium account on this. I have it in an incognito tab. You are absolutely right. Whoever said that. The Wizard Games. Okay. Here we go. There we go. Look, we can use this as a basis for how to build a Atlas V 551, because you can see how it's faring. Okay, so really, the inner stage, okay. And you're right, that is not flat packed. It's kind of corn cob. But this fairing and the inner stage kind of connect. Okay, well, we can use this as information. I put this back in the VAB and do it like that. Fletcher Boy says, Tim, I imagine that everyone here plays Kerbal Space Program. You'd be surprised. A lot of people either haven't, don't, and or don't have the time to do it. So you'd be surprised how many people have not played Kerbal. Okay, I want this to be easy for myself, so I'm just going to do this. Get rid of that. Okay, I'm also going to totally lower the force percentage of these decouplers before I forget. Okay, then I'm going to just add a big ol' thing like this. Maybe 2 of them. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is probably too big. That's probably too big. Who knows? Now I need to add some. We'll just do 12, I guess. Or maybe. That looks super professional. Just like that. Okay, good enough. It kind of looks like an RTG, like one of these radioisotope thermonuclear generator. All right, so in real life, this went up to basically the engines. Then it got big. Bing, bang, boom, and very pointy. Wow. Hyper realistic. Just crazy realistic. I bet you can't even tell the difference. Let's see. Oh, this is from Kitty Donahue. Excited for this launch. I can't believe I've been a member for almost 5 years already. Dang, everybody say thank you, Kitty Donahue. That is quite the membership there. Thank you so much for that. That is awesome. Yay. I appreciate that, Kitty. Okay, so one of the problems we have with the last launch is that because it's asymmetrical thrust, when we throttled down, we lacked control. We also have these a little bit too offset on this side, but you know what? I don't really care. It's just it's so highly lofted. That's honestly like the biggest problem, is that it's so highly lofted. Going like this, going to fix our staging ahead of time. These are all going to collide with each other probably and make a huge mess again. It's going to be super fun. What other ways do I have like I know how I can control this a little bit better. I'll throw some of these guys on there. This is always a good way to add a little bit of control authority when you are lacking it, is just some good old vernier thrusters. Give you a little bit of extra kind of oomph and roll control and things like that. And that way we can hopefully steer a little bit without needing to have our main engines do all of the control authority. There we go. Let's try launching these. I don't know if I love that these look absolutely nothing like this. About that. Maybe we should do something about that. I'm just not going to love this if it looks that stupid. So first off, let's do 3 rows of 8. Let's do that. That'll be the first part to make it look better. Okay, now let's do little teeny tiny guys. Is what we need to do. Little decouplers like this. You know what? I'm going to make it so they actually stand a chance of not running into each other. Wouldn't that be something? Okay. Look at this. We are really optimizing this big time. Okay. Look at that. We actually are doing something, ladies and gentlemen. Let's put a tiny little probe on here. I have no idea which way that's facing. Who cares? Let's throw one of these guys. An expandable one. Good enough. And an antenna. In real life, these actually do have little ion thrusters, but I don't care. I simply do not care. And you can't make me care. Okay, cool. Good enough. All right, there we go. More realistic, more gooder. Now where's this guy? Oh, you're hiding down there. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Fairing first, then stage separation, then, okay, we got this. Also, let's get rid of, we don't need this. There we go. Now it looks a little bit more realistic. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. See? Keep it kind of skinny-ish. Okay, there we go. Atlas V, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we're looking at. For those of you wondering what's going on with the launch, we're just waiting. We have 28 minutes. We're just wasting time. Weather is not good for this rocket launch of the first 27 Kuiper satellites for Amazon's internet constellation. So we are playing, we're doing it in Kerbal Space Program. We're going to just create this ourselves. And I should make it pointier. You are right. M space 904. This is from the Belgian. I tuned in to watch the launch and I saw explosions. Well, don't worry. Yeah, this is Kerbal. Could SpaceX Falcon 9 also launch Amazon Kuiper satellites? Yes, and they are. They were contracted to launch, I believe, 3 Falcon 9s are launching Kuiper satellites. So even the competition is leaning on the performance of the Falcon 9, which is very hard to beat. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Main engines, and then SRBs. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Look at that. It automatically kind of pitches over because of the offset thrust, which is kind of what happens in real life. Oh, no. Oh, no. I fear. Okay, this looks nice. I like this. Let's do this. It has so much thrust. This is crazy. I'm trying to straighten her out here just a little bit. Hopefully the dynamic pressure does not just absolutely cook this thing. Okay, here we go. SRB. We're going to probably jettison them once it slows down a little bit, because otherwise they could recontact the rocket. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. SRB jettison. Something happened. Oh, no, 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 Batman. Dang it. Well, that's not ideal. We flew too shallow. The dynamic pressure is too high. The fairing wanted to go backwards. Let's try and salvage this. Nothing like, you know, doing a 180-degree kickflip spin, 90-degree kickflip right at max Q. It's doing ESAR space, and it's doing a Starship. Yep, that's exactly right. There we go. Look at this. Okay, we are, again, insanely lofted. Like, jeez. Okay, I can't tame this beast. And I apologize sincerely for it. There we go. Fairing gone. I should have made the fairing detach like normal. I should have made the SRBs have some struts on them. Yeah. Alright, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to just zoom up all the way to our apoapsis. It's our highest point. Which is, in this case, we're going 1,000,000 kilometers in altitude. Way beyond what the Kuiper satellites are doing in real life. I also did not make an action group to deploy into the anything, so I don't care. You can't get me to care. All right, we're almost there. This is, again, way too high, but this is our apoapsis. So the easiest way to get into orbit is once you're at your highest point here. Whoa, we're on like the exact, oh, not the same altitude. What is this thing? Huh, cool. Oh yeah, that was our, I did a Kerbal Space Program challenge of using AI to make, or try to build the terrible looking AI rockets that I saw online. Uh-oh, we are out of batteries this time. Look at that, guys. How do we do that cheat menu again? Shift F12? No. No. What is it? Command Shift F2? F3? No. Anyone remember what the cheat menu is? Because we'll just give it unlimited. Alt F12. Okay, thank you. Alt F12. There we go. Thank you so much. Infinite electricity. Here we go. We're back. We are so back. Okay, let's put this thing into orbit. Do our burn. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, hit pip. So now you'll see we are speeding up, raising our periapsis, which currently collides with the planet. But there it is. Now it's appearing. A wild periapsis is appearing from the backside of the planet. As we continue to speed up here at our apoapsis, it raises our periapsis. It raises our lowest point in our orbit. And if we get this to be also 1,080,000 kilometers as well, it'll be a circular orbit. And that's what we're going to do. So, ish. We'll make it circular-ish. Here we go. 1 million and something like that. Good enough. That looks like more or less a circle to me. Now, boom. Even with that, that looks cool. Okay, well, there we go. We deployed all of our, we only deployed 24 Kuiper satellites that time. But there you go. And then if you want to deorbit this, so you're a good space steward, you do this until your periapsis and so you can see all those little tiny satellites flying away from us, kind of, barely. I don't see them anymore. But now we're just slowing back down. By slowing back down, we are lowering our periapsis until it intersects the atmosphere. Like, right? Maybe a little more. Like, right there. That'll make it so this stage deorbits. So let's watch that. And then hopefully by then we're close to the stream coming back on and they can tell us whether or not we're going to see the first 27 Kuiper launches, not the first ones that aren't deployed in Kerbal Space Program. That would be awesome. Yeah, we're just wasting time here while we wait for this. Yeah, it's kind of, they have a 2-hour launch window. They have an hour and 17 minutes left in that launch window, so we're just
20 minutes.
L minus 20 minutes. That agrees with, we're 30 seconds ahead of them, so we might have to change that a little bit, but here we go. Now our stage is deorbiting.
LC, this is LD on 1.
Go LD.
Please coordinate a new T0 of 00:22.
All right, we're gonna have to wait longer. Good thing we're playing Kerbal Space Program, because otherwise.
0022 is over.
So T minus 38 minutes.
Hey, LC.
I should have eaten before I
Please
did
set
this
the clock
stream.
for new T0022 Zulu.
Roger.
RC.
RC on 1.
Please coordinate with the range. New T0022 Zulu.
Roger, welcome.
Okay, you heard it. We're waiting 37 more minutes to hopefully see the first launch of the Kuiper constellation. And we're also watching a deorbit. I'm shocked that this is surviving.
LC.
Go.
Contact clock has been set for new T0 of 00:22 Zulu.
Roger. All right, for the team, we're at L minus 37 minutes.
Yep. Well, if this thing survives re-entry, we're going to have to try to propulsively land it, aren't we? which it's going to do. It's going to survive re-entry. I'm going to speed it up. All right. You heard it here first. We're going to do a propulsive landing. This is not how the mission goes with the center upper stage.
RC.
Roger, the new T000:22 has been coordinated approved by the range.
Roger.
I don't actually know if we have a high enough thrust to weight ratio to slow this thing down in time. Because it has abysmal. Yep, it's too slow. It's a vacuum optimized engine. Doesn't have the thrust to weight ratio at sea level to stop. We did our best. We did our best. And that's all we can ask of ourselves at times like these. So we've got some improvements to make, like more batteries and things like that. That would not be a bad thing. Although it's surprising, I actually remembered to put batteries on this one, yet it wasn't enough. We could throw some mild solar on the outside here, just so that thing doesn't die again on orbit. Smaller SRBs would be, yeah, I don't know about smaller. I think these are scaled about right, but we could probably like reduce the amount of thrust and we'll just have everything. I'm aware that one, oh my gosh, that's going to drive me nuts. One was at like 50, one was at 51. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. This will help me fly that trajectory a lot easier. Also, we should be strapping them down. Well, actually, I'll just do it with auto struts. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. What colors? Just white would look better. Again, if you happen to just be tuning in, we're just wasting time while we wait for a long time now, making improvements to our own Kuiper satellite constellation. Looking good. All right, let's. Action Group 5 is going to deploy. Extend solar panels. There we go. Extend solar panels. There we go. And extend solar panels. We'll deploy them all properly this time. What else do we need to improve upon? I don't know. Let's answer a few of your questions while we're waiting here. I'll put this back on. You can see that part of that light swinging around. Next NFL WR. What other companies use a full flow stage combustion cycle engine? Are there any besides SpaceX? Does somebody know? Yes. I think the one on right off the top of my head that I know of is Stoke Space is working on a full flow. They actually are on their second iteration of a full flow stage combustion cycle engine for their launch vehicle. So hopefully that is something I'll be seeing when I tour them again here later this year. That date's been moved around a little bit because they are expanding like crazy and they're kind of waiting for an opportune time to come out and do a new tour. So I'll be doing a new tour with them. They're incredible, reusable rocket concept. Yeah, they have already developed, they're on their second iteration of a full flow stage combustion cycle engine, and it's running. I mean, they actually can do it. That's pretty awesome. I believe also Ursa Major was working on a full flow engine as well. I don't know where they're at in that process. Yeah, I don't know where they're at in that process. But yes, and obviously before SpaceX, we had the RD-270, a Soviet rocket engine that never flew. That was kind of the OG, the original full flow stage combustion cycle engine. And we had the Powerhead demonstrator, which was just the turbo pump assembly, no combustion chamber, that's the harder part, is the turbo pump assembly that was built in the United States as well. But that's the ones that I know of for sure. Logic FTW, why didn't IFT8 think of F12? Yeah, good question. I think SpaceX, with some of the most recent Starship launches, it'd be awesome if they had, a cheat code to be able to, do unbreakable joints and things like that. I really hope Flight 9 is a lot smoother. It sounds like Flight 9, they're just landing in the Gulf because they're reusing B-14, one of the boosters. Was that Flight 8 booster? Let me look it up. Or is it Flight 7? Flight 7. I think it was... Flight 7. Yeah, Flight 7. Yay. Flight 7 was cool. So anyway, they're reusing that booster, and because it's going to be the first reuse, I think they're going to ditch it and not have it come back to the launch pad. And sounds like they might test engine out on landing, which would be fun to see. I like that kind of stuff. This is from Daniel Station. How you doing, Daniel? Love how you're just casually playing KSP while waiting for the launch. We got kind of nothing else to do while we wait right now besides just playing KSP. So why not hang out and yeah. Let's see here. This is from Next NFLWR. Do you know any ways to directly invest in SpaceX as a private person, or do you have to have any info on when they do go public, or do I have any info when they go public? I don't know if they'll ever go public. I don't know why they would. They have no shortage of funds, and they are actually profitable now. So they're making enough profit that they don't need capital, additional capital to do what they're working on for now. Maybe if they were like, hey, we got Starship figured out, we're going to build 20 pads at once, and we're just going to go nuts, and we're going to build 20 mega factories, and blah, 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 and we need capital to be able to do that. Maybe they would spin off something. If anything, they would maybe, I don't know, I've heard that, rumors that they wanted it, or people were talking about Starlink being spun off as its own investment you could buy into, which that would make a little more sense. Sell off some of that and make it so you could, people could invest in Starlink. I think that's obviously a huge profit center. But again, I don't really know why they would, because it's a huge profit center. There are funds that have SpaceX investment that you can invest into those funds. Some are very, I think over 50% of the fund is SpaceX, but yeah. Well, let's, someone's saying the T0 time is 20 minutes. No, they changed it to, where are you seeing that? That might have been an old tweet, because literally as soon as they said T-minus 20 minutes last time, they changed to a new T0 time of 22 after the hour, which is going to be 8:22. Yeah. Thank you so much from Chimera saying another Amazon package delay. Hey, that's actually a rare thing. All right, let's, I guess while we're waiting, let's try launching another version of this thing and see if we can do any better than we have been doing. Maybe we won't cartwheel this time, and maybe we won't also put it into a million billion. I'm going to thrust limit this thing too. We'll just try sandbagging this thing a little bit more, because it's way too powerful. Unless we could throw a big, huge, what's something that's really heavy? Just throw a bunch of batteries on top of this thing. Then we won't need our... Okay. Then we won't need the cheat code as well. Let's see. This is from Brandon Aerospace. Any thoughts on how ULA will have to change their structure to adapt to a reusable age? It seems like they're a pretty big step from where they're at now, as far as, by the way, I think I can throw this up. The abbreviation for ULA, maybe? Anyway, so they have plans to do smart reuse. Actually, we have time. We have plenty of time. Let's do smart reuse on this booster. Oh, that does mean I'm going to have to, take off all these solid rocket boosters. So...
Welcome back. We're joining you from ULA's Advanced Spaceflight Operations Center here at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. We're continuing to work to our new T0 of 8:22 p.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah, and there are a lot of things that go into planning a new T0. Vehicle readiness, waiting for weather like we are right now. Launch vehicle looks good. One of the other things that we always look at is collision avoidance, or as we abbreviate it, COLAs. And in this case, you might wonder, how do we end up with an 8:22 p.m. or before that it was an 8:03 p.m. And that's really because we're always planning to make sure that when we launch, there's nothing else in the area as we get up on orbit, that we're not having any sort of chance of coming even close to anything else on orbit. So we always time our launches to make sure that we're launching at a time where we don't have any issues with a collision in space. And so that's really why we ended up with an 8:22 p.m. T0 for tonight.
That's great. It's like we're organizing a great space dance between intergalactic traffic and making sure that everybody's in the right place at the right time. So we're lucky that we have our launch coordinators on top of that, and we're working towards the new T0 of 8:22 Eastern Time. So as we remain in this hole due to weather, as we mentioned, let's check back in with Launch Weather Officer Brian Sizek.
Thanks, guys. And unfortunately, we haven't seen the weather trend as favorably as we were hoping. So let's take a live look at radar right now. You can see there's this stubborn convergent band of showers that's remaining just inside our 10 nautical mile ring from the launch pad, which is about right here. And so some of these clouds are getting above the minus 20 Celsius altitude, which is over 20,000 feet. And because of that, they have to be outside of the 10 nautical mile ring from the launch pad. So you can see we were hoping they'd push a little bit further to the east, but they've almost trended a little bit further to the west, closer to the pad. So that's why we haven't been able to clear this cumulus cloud rule. Again, those clouds could have electrification that could potentially trigger a lightning strike. So that's why this rule exists, to prevent a rocket-triggered lightning strike. And we're also monitoring the winds as well. So it's the cumulus cloud rule and elevated winds. So you can see we are maybe seeing a little bit of a drop down in some of these wind speeds. We are still seeing a few gusts in the low 30s, but a lot now getting to the 20s. So maybe trending down a little bit in the winds, but we're going to need that trend to continue. So we're still watching those showers just off the coast, and we need these winds to come down as well. So guys, we'll be watching, and again, if we can get the weather to clear, the launch weather team will find that opportunity and call the go call. Back to you.
Thanks, Brian. Here we've got a live shot of Jetty Beach. So we have a lot of beachgoers out there sitting on the sands and taking their time to hopefully view a launch later this evening.
Yeah, and even though we would have loved to launch at the opening of the window, you know, as the sun goes down, it does make for some really spectacular launches, especially with those 5 SRBs. If we launch tonight, these folks are going to think the sun is coming up. It's going to be so bright.
Definitely. Well, now we're taking a live look at the mighty Atlas V on the pad. It's really crazy to think about that all 27 Kuiper satellites are tucked in nicely into that PLF.
It is, and it's not just any PLF. It's the largest one we fly today. It's 77 feet tall. Like you said, all 27 Kuipers in there. And then again, with the 5 SRBs, this really is the largest Atlas configuration that we currently have in our fleet today. And so it's going to be really rocking when we launch. It's going to shake the whole building as it flies, as it lifts off.
Definitely. We're all maxed out on SRBs. You can have a configuration change of either 1 to 5. And each of these SRBs are adding 375,000 pounds of thrust. So when you combine that with the main engine, you get almost 2.7 million pounds at liftoff.
And we just saw the SRBs there. Now we're looking at an engine shot. You can see the 2 engine bells of the RD-180, as well as those 5 SRB nozzles just hanging out right under our mobile launch platform. And a lot of smoke and fire going down into that flame trench as soon as all that ignites at T0.
Oh, definitely. You'll hear us say we have ignition, and then the whole frame will light up. You'll see all that fire and smoke come out, and then hopefully we'll see a grand Atlas liftoff into the horizon.
And now the boil off. You know, again, we talked about the liquid oxygen, the cryogenic fuel, both on the booster as well as the upper stage being both liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. And so those are cryogenic. They're, you know, negative 200 to negative 450 degrees Fahrenheit. So at those temperatures, it boils here in Florida at room temperature. It's 70 so outside, and so you're seeing that boil off. So we are constantly replenishing those propellants. They're constantly boiling off, and to keep the tanks full, we're just adding more and more throughout the hold here to make sure that when we lift off, we are fully fueled and ready to go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that a little earlier. Weather's not looking good though, guys.
LC.
Good question.
Countdown clock is
We've just heard from our mission control that we now have a new T0.
Roger. And a team, we're at L-minus 39 minutes and counting.
The new T0 is 8:39 Eastern Time.
Not looking good. Let me fix that. 839. Yep, that's not looking good. And I saw a good question. Where was it?
And just a reminder, we do have a 2-hour window tonight, so we do have window remaining, even with the T0 being rescheduled due to the weather delay. Looking at a live look at the Launch Control Center here in Cape Canaveral. Engineers all continuing to intently watch their data throughout the hold and monitor the vehicle as we proceed through the weather delay.
There's nothing like being on console, Caleb. You really get this excitement of sitting there, all of the tension and all of the hard work that's really cultivated to this moment here. You know, everyone's focused. We're making sure all of our systems are in line when we do get that new T0 due to weather. And it's never quite like, you know, the excitement of launch day. It's unmatched, I tell you.
Absolutely. It's just like you said, everybody's worked so hard to get to this point. You know, sometimes you got to just wait for things out of your control, like the weather, which is what we're doing tonight. But everybody still very focused and ready to go if that weather window opens up tonight.
And even if we do have a 2-hour window, you know, at the beginning of the window, we would have gotten that launch right around the sunset time, but night launches are also equally spectacular. You really do get to light up the sky. You feel the whole building shaking. You really hear that power of those SRBs with those main engines, the RD-180s, and you get a good liftoff out of Earth's atmosphere. So night launches are equally as cool. You've got the bright, shiny, you know, star coming through, and nothing like an Atlas V launch.
Yeah. And we're now looking at the Mission Directors Center. So we have our Amazon customer as well as our Space Force customer in there monitoring the launch. And this is the management team who is making all the decisions on what our new T0s are, making sure that we're proceeding through the count and doing all of the final polls and giving that final go up till launch, as well as our Engineering Support Center here in the ASOC.
Cool. We got a lot of questions here actually coming in that are good. I don't know if they're done talking. I don't like talking over them. Let's start off with, while we're talking about weather and all that stuff and seeing the range and people in the control centers, my cat named Elon, Tim, can you do a video on rocket triggered lightning? That's actually something that I was just shooting last week at Vandenberg Space Force Base. I was with the Space Force Delta 30 out there at Vandenberg. And they were showing me, I learned all about it.
The range has approved our new T0 at 00:39. Roger.
So yes, I will be doing a video on triggered lightning and on all of the considerations of the range. Like, what is the range? How do they keep it clear? What types of things are they looking at to make sure that, you know, we're good to go for a launch? So besides the rocket, it's basically everything besides the rocket. How do we know it's okay to launch? And how do we keep the public safe? How do you keep the rocket safe? On that question, really good question here. Where did it go? Where did that go? Where did that go? Where did that go? Oh, I thought I had it. I just thought I saw it. If there's ever a rocket that had been struck by lightning, I swear I saw that.
This is Atlas Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. ULA's new Vulcan rocket was recently certified by the U.S. Space Force to launch critical missions for the U.S. government. Let's take a look back at the Vulcan certification flights.
All right, this is going to be something that's copyright music strike. So so someone asked, has there been a rocket that's ever been struck by lightning? Yeah, the one that I can think of right off the top is Apollo 12. They got hit with lightning on ascent, and luckily they flipped SCE to aux. Is that famous line? If you've ever heard SCE to aux, it's because the lightning frazzled the electronics and they were able to switch over to an auxiliary power unit or some kind of auxiliary system, and that gave them the ability to keep flying and not have to abort the mission. So yeah, rockets have been struck by lightning. And one of the big reasons is as it's flying, it's actually creating a grounding mechanism for lightning. So it's exhaust plume, almost no matter what it is. I think even if it's hydrogen and creates a mostly, water vapor cloud, that still is going to be a conductive route for lightning. So the rocket, by being attached, basically extending like a giant pole up into space or up into the upper atmosphere, where it's, even if there's not clouds per se, you still have to look at a lot of different weather conditions because it can cause its own lightning basically and have a place to be able to attach the lightning back to the ground. That's especially true with SRBs and things like that, with aluminum and other, carbon and other things that are highly conductive for lightning. Again, this is something that we'll talk about quite a bit. Ooh, look at those BE4s running. That was a cool shot. I'll do a whole video about the range and weather considerations, and hopefully it gives you a much better appreciation of when we see a rocket launch, when we're hearing things on the countdown net. Hopefully you'll understand it just a little bit better. Let's see. This is from DJ Zola. Can we buy the hydrazine mug in Belgium? I think so. I don't think the hydrazine mug is exclusive. I don't know how to. So under accessories here, everydayastronaut.com/shop. The hydrazine mug. I don't know why this wouldn't be available in Belgium. Yeah, check it out. If you want to support the work we do here, get something for yourself, everydayastronaut.com/shop. If you haven't shopped around for a while, by the way, we have some really cool stuff. And definitely check out our RUDS section, which is our rapid unscheduled discount. Unscheduled discount section. There's some classics in here. Things that you might like, and they're 50% off. So, everydayastronaut.com/shop. That always supports the work we do here. But don't forget, we do also have a new 1969 collection as well, which is just incredible that you're kind of seeing a video of some of that stuff. Which is also, by the way, 1969 collection. If you use coupon code LAUNCHDAY, all one word, all lowercase, coupon code at checkout, you'll get 15% off anything in the 1969 collection, which more or less doesn't leave my body these days. So everydayastronaut.com/shop. Good question. Hopefully you can get that in Belgium. I think you can. Let's see. This is Go for Launch 13. I've always wondered, why does Atlas V have such weird booster placements and separation sequences? Is it something to do with efficiency? So a lot of it just has to do with the asymmetry of the rocket anyway. You'll notice there's a big raceway. There's a big giant pipe that connects the liquid oxygen tank down to the engines. So you have that. You have a few other structural considerations. And they basically just, the rocket has to be pitching over at some point anyway. So if you have an asymmetrical or an odd number of engines, you can actually use the odd number of engines to help push over a little bit. But don't forget, they're not really, the engines aren't actually pointing straight down. They actually do point inward just a little bit, which helps more or less go through the center of mass. So even when there's one engine, it doesn't apply a huge amount of torque like you might think. It applies more of a pushing force than a torque, than a pitch or a yaw. Let's see. Let's go back to Kerbal, I guess. Yeah, we could have talked about that. Well, okay, we were fixing something in Kerbal. Oh yeah, it is gonna be a nightmare. We're gonna totally change engines. Obviously, this is not something that the Atlas V is going to be able to do. It's something that the Vulcan is going to do. We'll test it out here. We'll play devil's advocate and say that we're kind of building a hybrid between the two. But we're gonna make a smart reuse system, and that's the system that ULA has planned. People were asking in chat, what's their plan for competing against reusability? Well, the plan is to do some reusability. It's a little bit different than what you maybe have seen with other companies, SpaceX included.
We have plenty of exciting launches coming up here in 2025, but 2024 had a memorable year for ULA. Along with 2 Vulcan launches, we launched humans for the first time with the first crewed flight test. We celebrated our 100th national security launch with the USSF 51 mission and said goodbye to the Delta vehicle with our final Delta IV heavy liftoff carrying NROL 70. Let's take a look back at these very exciting missions.
All right, again, copyright strikes probably coming. I feel like we already just saw a thing all about... Oh, is this the 2024 in review, or is it... Anyway, let's keep going here on our build of a Vulcan with smart reuse, but it's also going to be kind of like an Atlas 5 because we're going to keep the 5 SRBs. Let's see here. So we need to be able to detach that first. Okay, that looks good. Or maybe we'll do that after the fairing and stuff. I don't actually know if if engines will work fully. If these will actually work when attached to like a battery underneath a stage decoupler like this. We'll see. I don't know if that'll actually work. We might have to throw a pipe down to them, which is actually ironically kind of what I was talking about earlier, how there's a pipe, a raceway that kind of gets in the way. We'll do this. We'll see if this actually does anything. Actually, wait, we'll do it on the side of this actual thing right here. Maybe we'll need a very thin tank down there. Okay, that T0 is still holding, but that is still 26 minutes away. Ah! So we'll keep playing Kerbal Space Program while we wait. Oh yeah, so, okay, this also needs to have a parachute. I don't know if this will actually work. Maybe I should just test this on its own before I build the rest of this. Or I just build the rest of it and don't care. All right, let's fix this right away. Oh yeah, I also want this to be just a fairing clamshell deploy with just 2 sides. All right, that's gonna be good enough for that. Then let's do these 2 like this. And a third one on its own like this. There we go. That looks pretty good. That looks really good, actually. The whole thing should probably be a little bit rotated. There we go. That's actually a lot better. Now it's bugging me that, of course, these 2 engines are off. Center.
Atlas rockets have launched many of the world's vital space assets. Let's take a look at the impressive legacy of the Atlas family of rockets.
Another video that'll probably have a copyright strike, which is why we're playing Kerbal Space Program. All right. So, oh yeah, I need to add parachutes because that's part of the smart reuse system. Is having parachutes on this. So let's do some drogue shoots. Oh yeah, it also has to have, oh crap, I forgot a whole bunch of stuff. It also has to have a supersonic decelerator, which is something that they actually are doing. Okay, hang on. Where's that heat shield? The inflatable heat shield. There we go. Okay, now we're getting there. We're learning all about Atlas, which is kind of fun, though. So, let me redo some of this. Oh, some... Said I don't actually know if that'll work. Only one way to find out. I'm talking about the balloon tanks of the Atlas, the original Atlas booster, which hang on. Go, honey, keep going, baby. I love that. Here, let's compare those Atlas rockets to our Atlas rocket. Yeah. That looks so sick, actually. I'm so excited about that. Look how cool that looks. Let's go. Oh yeah, I don't have to whisper because you guys don't hear this because it does have music going over it. Anyway, let's go back to this while we're waiting. Let's make sure the parachutes are not going to deploy prematurely. Where is that other one at? Okay, so we want this one. All right, now that we're waiting, let's try launching this again. I don't know if this is going to work actually with the main engines without having a tank down there or something. A baby Eskimo says, any news or excitement on Stoke Space from your end? How do you think they'll compete in the industry once Nova is launching? I think they have a real chance of competing just because they have such a cool design. And they're moving so quickly. Some other news, they did receive a big contract to be able to launch national payloads, national security payloads. So they actually have potential to make it. And that's really exciting. All right, let's see if these engines will actually light. They will. 3, 2, 1, hip, hip. Let's go. I didn't check anything else. It still is screaming off the pad. Holy crap. Still absolutely almost like way too fast. Even though we like throttled everything down. Wow. Trying to do a better job of actually getting this where I want it to be, like 500 kilometers. There we go. Booster separation. We are screaming. This is a long Atlas video. It's still on it. So I have no updates from ULA for you guys yet. Because we're just listening to a video be played with all about Atlas. Cool, look at this. We're actually getting closer to doing this correct this time. Now here's the key. We have to make sure this does stay suborbital. Oh, this is perfect. Okay. We are allowing it to cartwheel for a second. Let's go ahead and ditch that fairing. Hey, I thought I did clamshell. I didn't want it to do that. I probably shouldn't have deployed that yet with it still like absolutely. Oh, that is an oscillation if I've ever seen one. All right, let's detach this. All right, let's get this part into orbit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that and try seeing if we re-entered the thing correctly. Or did the re-entry thing right. Working on trying to raise that periapsis, but right now we're mostly accidentally raising our apoapsis. I'm not making this easy on myself. Mihai wants to know, how are we going to go to space safely in the future if low Earth satellites are going to be so dense from all this? Well, luckily, we're getting better and better about how to track and all that stuff. We're making better and better plans. Yeah, that's how. Better plans. All right. Inflate this heat shield. There we go. Look at this. This is how this will work. This is the ULA's plan to reuse the expensive BE-4 engines, which make up the bulk of the cost of the rocket and of the launch, is to recover them with an inflatable heat shield, and then either catching or just, I think they're just hoping to let them just sink. All right, so we'll point this thing. Oh, I guess we'll point this thing retrograde. There we go. Then this will just re-enter. And this is how they'll try to recover the engines. Because again, the engines are, you know, by far the most expensive part. And this is literally what ULA's plan is for Vulcan. And they've tested already the inflatable heat shield. They've made progress towards this, which is actually exciting. I like it. I like different ideas. Yeah, if it touches people saying salt water bad. Luckily, the inflatable heat shield acts as a giant life raft, so. Ooh.
59
Oh no, they pushed to the last minute.
Hey, LC.
Go ahead.
Please set the clock for a new T0 of 00590.
They're not launching today. That weather's not good.
RC, LC.
I want them just to call it so I can eat dinner.
Please coordinate with the range new T0 of 00590.
Roger, good morning.
Yeah, they're going to scrub. Weather not looking good. But yeah, this is how the inflatable heat shield's going to protect the engines during re-entry.
LC.
Go.
Countdown clock has been set for new T0 of 0059.
Roger. All right, the team clock is counting L-minus 37 minutes.
Yep, not looking good. Not looking great. We'll listen in.
LC has guess.
Go.
Yeah, we've run into a slight issue where we've lost connection with the VNC on the laptop. It appears that the server is still running on the desktop in lower PEV. There's been no interruption of ASGAS scanning. We're going to go through some steps such as closing out, restarting the VNC, or switching networks to see if we can get that connected back.
All right, yeah, and so are we getting data?
We are still getting data, yes.
Roger that. Okay, report to me when you're complete with your investigation.
Copy.
So it sounds like there they have a hazardous gas sensor. The computer monitoring that, it sounds like the laptop lost connection. But they also have a desktop that's also running the same software. And there we go. And they're trying to...
LC, RC.
RC.
Range has approved our new T0 of 00:59.
Roger.
Crawl space, we're just doing what we can. When we have a 2-hour launch window and it's almost certainly going to be a scrub, what better to do than to launch our own rocket, right? I would love to do this in real solar system. I do like that. So yeah, it sounds like they're running the hazardous gas sensors on a laptop and a desktop. It sounds like they're just switching to the desktop now. No big deal. Backups. Yep. And the reason they have a hazardous gas sensor is mostly because the it'd be any kind of hydrazine or any starting propellant, things like that. T-Teb is hazardous. Oh yeah, look at that. Uh-oh, this is.
And
not
as you heard a
going
moment
well.
ago, we do have a new T0 of 8:59 Eastern. We've pushed to the end of the window to see if we can get that weather to open up for us. So let's go get another check from Launch Weather Officer Brian Sizik.
Thanks, guys. And we still have not seen a great trend, but the best chance we have to get this weather to clear is at the end of the window. So that's why the launch team, they've been in communication with the launch weather team that is on console right now, and they are obviously monitoring the situation very closely. But again, here is what we've been dealing with all night, really. We have this convergent band of showers, that north to south oriented band that's moving. Kind of the whole line is pushing a little bit to the south. Now, we were hoping it would push farther off to the east, but notice it's progressed a little bit closer to the pad. But there's actually another way that we can clear this cumulus cloud roll, and that's if the tops of these showers get lower and the showers begin to dissipate. So the two ways, they could either push farther away from the pad, or they could weaken, where if the tops get low enough, that standoff distance actually gets smaller and smaller. So in other words, they can be farther away from the pad, or excuse me, they can get closer to the pad, and if the showers are weaker, then we don't have to be concerned about them. So those are the two ways that we could clear the cumulus cloud roll. We're also monitoring the winds as well, and as we take a live look at some of the winds we're seeing, notice we're still seeing winds in the upper 20s to low 30s miles per hour. These are gusts at the surface. The launch pad is right around here, so we're also monitoring winds up a few hundred feet as well. So again,
forgot
the
to
two
pause
things
it.
we need to clear that the launch weather team is going to be monitoring up until the wire here at our last T0 in the window, the cumulus cloud roll and the winds. Guys, back to you.
Well,
Thank you,
30
Brian.
more minutes. I did see a good question. If Kuiper is going out to the Kuiper belt, no, that is just the name of the constellation. It's a low Earth orbit constellation, very similar to Starlink. It's a competitor to Starlink. These engines, in our case, we didn't do so well. They are 46 meters under the sea.
This is Atlas Mission Control with T-minus 4 minutes and holding. Following liftoff, viewers watching the launch from Florida and points north and east might be able to see the Atlas V in flight. Let's get a closer look at the visibility map. Check it out at ULA Launch on social media.
I do really, really appreciate this graphic. I think that's so cool. Isn't that crazy? So it's on a high inclination, so it is more or less going up the coast of the United States. So yeah, even up in New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Boston, we'll be able to see this launch. As far over as almost Indianapolis would be able to see it. That's crazy. I would not have thought that. That's almost, I could almost see that. If I started driving now at 500 miles an hour.
This is Atlas Mission Control. We continue to be at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. ULA also launches Vulcan rockets here in Cape Canaveral, Florida. Let's take a look around.
Oh, with music. Oh no. I'm so hungry. I should have eaten beforehand. This is a mistake. Dang. Well. Okay. Anyway, our engines are 40. Oh, they're sinking. They're still going down. Look at that. We are sinking. Oh well. So we lost those engines, but we did deploy 20-something Kuiper satellites, which I can't even go to. Oh well. There we go. That was that. That was the mission with smart reuse. Kuiper satellites, smart reuse. Actually, I should have done them on a high inclination orbit. I should have done them at like a 51.6 degree or whatever. I don't remember the inclination of this one. I should have done that too. I'm really slacking off here today. Let's see if I can... Yeah, there we go. I forgot to turn that off. What else we want to do? We are from Lego Train. I are the best... One of the best KSP players on YouTube. Thank you. Kerbal Space Program is obviously the abbreviation for that. Thank you so much, Lego Train. I do enjoy playing Kerbal. I don't do it enough. But yeah, we have a decent amount of time. Get your questions out here. From Mad Motor 97, that random splashdown in the middle of the speech, I know that actually scared me too. I was like, what? Forgot to pause the game. My bad. But yeah, it's I'm not feeling good about this launch. I'm like half tempted just to go eat and come back, but I have a feeling I have a feeling they're going to try all the way to the end. Whoa, that's communication and support van. That's wild, actually. Isn't that crazy? They push a whole train. It would be fun to see. I've never seen a rollout, really. I think that would be fun to see. Lots of times, ULA does allow media for big missions, especially like NASA missions. Oh, that faked me out. This is just for the video. They're showing the different... I think. Yeah, pretty sure that this is just a video, but it faked me out that... Yeah. Because they're even doing like a go no pull with audio, and I was like, oh no, they're doing it over top of the video. Yeah. All right. Let's see. This is from Brandon Aerospace. I've really been looking forward to your next factory tour. Any ideas when that might be? I would love to see a new Firefly. Their facility is probably much further along now. Yeah. Firefly might actually be the next one that we get to again. We've been in talks about trying to figure out a time to do another tour and do some fun stuff with their new Miranda engine, which would be really fun. But then we also we did work with Firefly out at Vandenberg Space Force Base as well. So you'll see more from Firefly. Stoke, again, will be later this year right now because they're in the middle of moving their factory and doing a bunch of fun stuff. But we will be doing that. Let's see here. This is from Cole. Doing some homework and exam prep for my mechanics and materials class and physics test tomorrow. Thanks for the stream. That's awesome, Cole. Good luck with that. That's awesome that you're actually studying. Hopefully you're not studying. Hopefully you're studying hard enough to be able to not hear me talk right now. That's crazy though. Good luck with your test tomorrow. This is from F. Well, basically Fight Falcon, but F1 Falcon asks, "What's your opinion on Booster 14 being reused?" I think that's awesome. That's this would be the first. I think this will make SpaceX. That it's pretty wild that they will have reflown a booster on 2 different programs before anyone else has really flown one booster besides the shuttle. Shuttle obviously reflew hardware, no denying that. Reflew boosters as well, but yeah, this would be a pretty quick turnaround. Flight 7 was just what? That was January, and for the first reuse. Ooh, hang on.
Minutes. Due to maintenance issues on the Tennessee River, recently ULA's rocket ship needed a creative solution to transport our rockets from our manufacturing facility in Decatur, Alabama, all the way to Cape Canaveral. ULA engineers and technicians devised a plan to load the flight hardware onto the barge and then transfer it back to rocket ship downstream of the maintenance site. Let's take a look at this innovative process.
Oh, more copyright. I do want to see this though. Okay, so I think it's awesome that SpaceX is working towards reflying Booster 14 already. They already static fired it. They had to replace 4 engines. Not that shocking for these early prototypes. It is still... I think the problem with a lot of people's expectations of Starship is when Elon has... Oh, they literally just loaded it, the whole semi into it. That's cool. Elon will say things like, "We're launching, fully operationally in a year" and stuff, and I think they're a long ways away from Starship being operational. But reusing booster hardware is an awesome step in the right direction. Version 2 of the Block 2 of Starship the upper stage needs to make some massive improvements and needs to prove itself. Starship is an incredibly ambitious program. It always has been incredibly ambitious. And we will see, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when will it be operational and when will they make, huge steps towards rapidly reusable. I have no doubt they'll be able to get Starship at least as reusable as Falcon 9. I mean, this will be a step towards that if they give up on upper stage reuse, but I don't see them giving up on upper stage reuse. I think they've had encouraging results by even just being able to have a booster or the upper stage survive re-entry on a few occasions, not surviving perfectly intact per se, but I think there's steps to be able to be made towards that. So I think reusing the booster is a great first step. Rich Hernandez, which direction should I look to try to see it if I can see it? Depends on where you live. I would love to be able to give you... it's flying northeast. So if you're south of Cape Canaveral, like Miami and stuff, you'll look north, up the coast, northeast. If you are anywhere else, pretty much, look east. The further away you are from that flight trajectory.
It's in holding. We continue to be in a weather delay. ULA continues to make numerous changes to our factory and launch pads to prepare for an increased launch cadence. The team recently finished assembling a new Vulcan launch platform, or VLP-A, inside a new vertical integration facility, or VIF-A. The A in the acronyms designates Amazon, as these facilities will be used to support Amazon launches. VLP-A will travel along a newly renovated rail system between VIF-A and Space Launch Complex 41 to enable seamless transport of overlapping launch campaigns.
I didn't realize that. That's cool. Learn something new every day. So back to that question to Rich, where should you look? Pretty much anywhere else, look east. The further away you are from the flight path, the lower on the horizon you would look. Even in New York and stuff, you'd be looking fairly low on the horizon. It's not going to be like overhead. It'll be, a few degrees above the horizon. East, southeast to east to northeast, depending on where exactly you are. Name withdrawn. Do you think hot staging is a bad idea? No, I think hot staging is a clever idea. I think it's going to be difficult, but not impossible to be able to do hot staging with a reusable vehicle and still have the hot staging ring be, permanently mated into the booster. Right now they're ditching the hot stage ring, which allows the hot gas to vent away during stage separation as they light up the Starship upper... Sorry, we're talking Starship. This is a Starship situation. I know this is not a Starship stream, but it's a valid question. It's obviously something that's been used in expendable vehicles like Soyuz and Titan rockets and Proton rockets.
We
and
just
the
received a
N1.
weather briefing from Brian. Let's toss it over to him so we can hear some more details.
Thanks, guys. Yes, we did just get a weather briefing from the lead launch weather officer on this mission, my colleague Brian Belson. So what he briefed the launch team is we are watching this line of showers. We're getting new radar scans about every 5 minutes or so, and we're watching to see, are these cloud tops coming down at all? Also, are they remaining connected? Because if they're connected, you kind of have to treat the whole line as one and then just use the closest point to the pad. But if we can find some breaks in that line and the taller cloud tops aren't connected to the ones that are closest to the launch pad right here, then we could potentially get out of that violation as well. So we are still no-go for the cumulus cloud rule, but we're watching these new radar scans coming in to see if we could potentially clear it. So he gave an 80% probability of violation, so that's a 20% chance of go by the end of the window and our last T0. But again, there still is a little bit of hope, and that's what we're watching. We need these cloud tops to come down, or we need to see a little break in the connection here where we could potentially get out of the violation that way. So that's what the launch weather team is tracking. This is a minute-by-minute thing that we're monitoring. We're waiting for the new radar scans to come in, and that's what the team is watching, in addition to the winds as well. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Brian. We've been talking to you for a lot of the time tonight, so we always appreciate the weather updates and keeping all of our team here at the LCC and watching all informed. So we're still sitting here at T-minus 4 minutes and counting. To celebrate our new Vulcan rocket, we recently updated the lobby at ULA headquarters in Centennial, Colorado. Let's take a look.
Probably music. Good time to answer some questions. Thank you so much, Tyler Matthew Harris, with not only a generous super chat. By the way, this is a John Krause photo, by the way, on the wall. They're taking it down for the renovation? Oh, they put windows in? Oh, or they had windows? Sorry, John. Maybe he got a new picture up. Anyway, Tyler, thank you so much for your generous donation. Greatly appreciate it. But a really good question. What measures are they taking to prevent chain reaction breakups, as in like Kessler syndrome, the problem of satellites in orbit crashing into each other, causing a chain reaction? Starting to worry about space junk, says Tyler. So the good thing is we're still in the thousands, 7,000-ish, 8,000-ish satellites. That's still nothing compared to air traffic. And air traffic is a lot more dynamic. It's a lot closer stacked. You have vehicles traveling, only 500 feet of separation a lot of times, 1,000 feet of separation in opposite directions. But that's not actually a lot. Satellites, in their orbits will have kilometers between them, several kilometers. And the good thing is that they're not dynamic. Once something's in orbit, it's going to be, exactly where it's going to be for the next month, without any, even in low Earth orbit, yes, there's some orbital decay, but it's very predictable. All of the orbits, even though, there's all these thousands and thousands and thousands of satellites, just by having them on slightly different shells at slightly different inclinations, and making sure that everyone, launches into these things, you have to realize that they're very small objects, and again, the amount of separation is actually fairly substantial, and space is big. So luckily, we can keep stacking. Again, if airplanes had to have 10 kilometers of separation, it'd be very hard. It'd be you almost couldn't do it. So it might look bad, when you see enlarged objects in orbit and you go, oh my gosh, there's thousands of satellites, but the reality is they're extremely far apart from each other. It's actually quite hard to get two objects that small to run into each other.
I am directing a launch scrub for today's operations. Please proceed with preparations for an extended turnaround with the next launch attempt under review.
Roger, held it.
Well, you heard it. It's officially
Team,
scrubbed.
Direct Operation 60. Or, excuse me.
I can finally eat. There we go. There we go. It's scrubbed. The host will probably come on and say it, but I might get ahead of them. And hopefully Tyler answered your question well, that, obviously it's something you have to pay attention to. Obviously space debris and cataloging and keeping track of everything is something we need to pay attention to, and we need to make sure everyone's being good stewards of spaceflight. It is a concern, though. Of course, it is a concern. How much do you need to be concerned about it? I think currently it's less of a concern than having two airplanes collide midair. But as it continues to go up, and if there is any debris, any event where there's chunks of even paint or whatever, that risk goes up, and it does get scarier and scarier. All right. Real quick, Philip Moyer did say, it's astounded by my Falcon stage compared to Gemini. So no, it's not Gemini. This is Mercury. These are the next models coming out, are the Mercury program. So single astronaut was up inside there versus, again, just the upper stage of a Falcon 9 is almost the same size, much larger diameter, but almost as tall as the entire Atlas rocket with Mercury. Again, these are to scale. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild to think about, and I'm, again, really excited to get you guys these Mercury program rockets in your own house to hopefully have your own rocket garden. It's going to be really fun, and I can't wait. So anyway, like we heard, it is a scrub. I will reset myself, and hopefully I'll be able to stream this on the next opportunity as well. That's going to do it for me, guys. I'm just going to get out of here and go eat. So thank you so much for... Oh, holy crap. Tyler, though, caught me at the last second. Tyler, thank you so much, sweet. I feel a little better. Keep up the good work, and thanks for all you've been doing. Tyler, thank you so much. That's insane. Everyone say thank you to Tyler. That is huge. Thank you so much. That is a video topic I still want to do a deeper dive on with good visuals, so you actually do understand exactly what it's like. So you've given me a little bit of encouragement to do that. So thank you so much, Tyler. And also thank you to all of you and all those YouTube members that we saw in the chat, and all the Patreon supporters and everyone in Discord. You guys are amazing. feels good streaming something that's different. So this is fun. Hopefully we do see this launch, because I really want to see the deployment of these Kuiper satellites, and I really want to see the start of a competition for Starlink. Would be fun to watch. So thank you, Tyler. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Join me next time when we get another launch attempt. So that's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people. Goodbye, everybody.